Hi there, I'm Freddie Patmore and I'm going to be showing you a few of the things you can use to fill your three-dimensional knitting projects. There are lots of materials available, including a few bits and bobs you can find around the house. So that includes things you can use for filling, items to add a bit of weight, and also things to add shape and structure. Flame retardant polyester filling is washable, and I recommend it as the safest thing to use for stuffing knitted gifts for babies and children. It's particularly light and pliable, and you can break it up and squeeze it into tight spots. The ready-to-use bags may seem big, but stuffing a handmade toy uses quite a bit. For doorstops or knitted animals that you intend to keep as an ornamental decoration, it's often necessary to add a bit of weight where traditional toy stuffing is very light. There are a few different things you can use that you will find around the house. Dried grains and pulses for one. Rice, chickpeas or kidney beans work really well. You can't get these wet, so it might be worth putting them in a plastic bag too in case of rogue spillages. You can always leave a sealable opening in your knitting so that the bag can be removed at the time of washing. Better still, try ceramic baking beans or purpose-made polystyrene beans. These man-made beans will withstand hand washing, which means you can wash your projects with a great deal of care. For a toy car like this, the designer chose another clever trick, carving the shape of the toy out of foam. You can draw your shape onto the foam before you start cutting, and then use a craft knife or scissors to carve into the soft material. These materials add the benefit of being particularly tactile and spongy, and will always hold their shape. Always check with your supplier about washability and flame retardancy for future reference. Sometimes you may need or might like to add a structured flat surface to your three-dimensional knits. There are two materials you could use. Cardboard is great. I like cereal boxes, they're a good thickness to use, but bear in mind that it will disintegrate if it is washed or gets wet. Alternatively, you might like to use a firm interfacing fabric, which is usually used in dressmaking for adding stiffness to collars and bags. So I've got a crisp tube and a yoghurt pot here, which don't look like much on their own, but without them, this crocheted lighthouse would be flopping and falling all over the place. We've added some structure by using these two materials here. As well, if you want to stop it from falling over, if you want to use it as a doorstop or something like that, you might like to fill it with one of the materials we discussed for adding weight to your projects, like this. This next knitting project is a doorstop. Now this one is really heavy. I've cleaned off a brick and covered it in plastic to protect the knitted cover, which I'm simply going to slide over the top and sew up the opening later. Cotton wool and old tights are also very useful stuffings, but if you're knitting for charity, always make sure you check with them first, as they often have special regulations.